Thank you.
Jakob, nice to have you. You've done more. You've done more because you also worked. You're co-founder of the Inner Development Goals that many people here know. So let's go. I don't know. Let's go maybe back a little bit and say that you were working on this project. How many years ago is this? When did this famous color code came out?
2014.
14.
When we started working on it.
So more than a decade ago. Maybe critical review last decade. Where are we now? You're a communication expert. You think in what communication can play, what role communication can play in advancing the thinking, spreading the idea, reaching more people. Did we succeed?
Well, there are two sides of that. One is, obviously we all know that we haven't reached the SDGs, the global goals. We still have about 4 years to go, or almost 5. But what it has done is that it has given a language to sustainability. Because what we did was that we took a really complex UN language and we choose words that people could relate to. So in that sense, I had someone who said that, oh, but you really provided the oxygen for sustainability. So in that sense, the communication has been successful. The political
and also I would say high adoption rate, right? I think it made it into the boardrooms like everywhere, and people, many companies looked at it, looked at all the numbers, and they say, we're working on 10, we're working on 12, and all. So it all came together, right? So would you say this is the positive side, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But?
Well, what we did after that was that we started to think about who should make these changes happening. And we realized that it's actually the people, the human beings, who has to do that. And we were thinking about what inner skills do we need to cause change.
Right.
So we launched something called the Inner Development Goals, where we asked a lot of people. We had 2 rounds. First round, we only had a couple of thousand people. Second round, we had over 20,000 people from, I think, 196 countries replied to what skills and capabilities do we need to reach the SDGs. And we got things like, appreciation, humility. We got collaboration, we got optimism.
So all good answers. I mean, good.
Yeah, in a sense,
good goals, right?
In a sense, you can look at it as, the Bible has the 10 commandments.
Yes.
And this is, in a way, an updated way of how we need to behave.
In our society for the future.
In societies, because of course we have different societies now with different complexities in it.
And you would say they also are implemented, and because I heard of them, not through you, but I heard through them, in our community, is that the adoption rate is there as well, right? Do we see that as well?
Yeah, the reach has been fantastic, or the response. We have over 800 hubs all over the world in every country, and people are working with this, discussing them and finding out how to use them to have better leadership, have better collaboration, have better business models, and also how to interact better with your friends or your family and everything. So they're really a good guide. We call it a guide because it's not like it's a definite rule book for this, but it's a handy guide. And I have one here. It's sort of.
Oh yeah.
You can look them up, and they have different categories for different areas.
I mean, we talked about communication in the last interview, and how leadership has to communicate better when it comes to bringing across new developments, etc. I mean, you're a firm believer that good communication is key to all these things, right? Why is that? Explain why we need to communicate much better.
Well, a lot of people are saying we got to come together as a society, and I'm asking what society, because we're not talking to each other. Right? We're in our own little worlds, and all our values comes between 0 and 7 years of age. And that's where we just completely uncritically take whatever our parents or our family is saying. And that becomes hard-coded into who we are.
That's right.
And that's why that's why people treat politics as if it's a football team they're routing for. It's just like, well, this is what my family has always done. And then when our critical thinking starts to happen after that, there's a huge resistance to breaking, what you were told as a child or what your community thinks about. So I've been thinking a lot about this, and my whole life I've been thinking about the difference between collaboration and competition, because it's really interesting, because I think we can all see that we need both, right? Because the competition is really what pushes people forward. The collaboration is what can make it happen. But there sits in two very different spheres, right? Because you could say that collaboration is more like a female quality of finding consensus, building societies together, and competition is a more male driving force of going out there and winning. And you see that in sports, and you see boxing, but when you look at business, you realize you need both, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, the perfect metaphor is probably a football team, right? Or any team, because you can't win in football if the team isn't working with each other. But you really need to collaborate within the team and against the other team. Right. But we need to find this balance, and we don't have the language for it. Right. We don't have a language for building the common ground that we need, because it doesn't matter what we sit here and talk about, or in all of the hundreds of UN conferences I've been at, when you just have people who are listening with their own value ground, and they're not going to break that. So how do we build this common ground?
Right. So that leads to your new project. Maybe you want to bring us in a little bit. What are you working on right now?
Yeah, so actually on Friday I started something that's called the New Foundation, and it's a foundation, and it's we're working to build a foundation that we can start communicate from. Mm-hmm. And it's in a way, what we're hoping for is some kind of cognitive liberation, right? That we can just think about these issues and not be bogged down by old thinking or opinions that we've been taught or that we've had for a long time. Because opinions are never solutions. Opinions are just cultural and personal interpretations of something that happens. Yes. And I'm a complete nerd, so I love science, and I think that you can really see how much do your opinions matter in science. You just test things, you build things, you try things, and you see what works. So how can we get away from that and instead try to build something that we all can agree on? Because the irony is, if you ask anyone, any person what they want in life, they're all going to say the same thing. They're going to want security, they want a good health, good education, a good house, a good home. And we all want exactly the same thing. And yet we're not talking to each other, and we're fighting. So how can we break this?
So what do you do practically? I mean, I'm curious now, right? So in your foundation, what do you create spaces, or what will you do? Or is it a communication idea?
It's actually, we're just starting, so I can't have a proof of concept. But the two ideas are working with, especially when we did our third framework, which was the biodiversity framework for the UN. That's when we became so aware of that we're all part of something. But when we worked with it, we worked with hundreds of organizations. I was in this weekly conference call with 145 organizations working with biodiversity. And they all have their own little field, their own little niche. They don't have any money, and they don't have any communication skills. So I said, why don't we start to get them together, organizations working in the same field. It can be biodiversity, it can be mental health, it can be climate change, it can be economic inequality, whatever, it can be racism, whatever, but you find organizations and then you go together and you say, okay, what's a central message, a central simple message that everyone needs to get? That was one part of it. And the other thing is that I think that we've been so successful with these frameworks because we came from the outside. I worked with marketing and communication before. So when you look at it from the outside, you realize that you need to find a language that everyone can connect to. So we want to get groups of organizations together, agree on central messages, and then start to make campaigns that are completely non-divisive, non-polarizing.
Finding a common ground.
And building a common ground around this we can all agree on.
Okay. And do you think, looking at places like Davos, where we all come together here, is that a good place to start with that? Can we do this here? Would you come back maybe next year and kick off something? Or would you go somewhere else?
Yeah, no, I think this is, because it's such an absurd area, this, right? Because there's so many amazing people here doing so much good work in all kinds of and then there's this brute force of money that's just seeping into the whole thing. And fortunately, as we've heard some people talking about here, there's also people who wants to give back, make the money work for a better world because they realize that's also better for business, right? But so I hope that we can do something with people here, and we're obviously looking for funding and we're looking for partners. And
so thank you so much, Jakob, for thanks for coming, and thank you for sharing this new idea, and all the best for the project and for I think something we all need. Like, we all have to look for the common ground, right? So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jakob.